Hello my good people and welcome again to this channel. So in the last two videos I took you through how to install Visual Studio Code, how to set up that into your system, and we wrote our first that code, the hello world. So as I had told you, today we are going to have a look on variables. So I am using this site gigs4gigs.org to help you gather the basic understanding of what is variables. Then later on we will go on to coding and I will show you how to use the knowledge that we will gather from this site in our application. So the site that I am in is Gigs for Gigs. You can check it online. The site is gigs4gigs.org /variables -programming /. So variables, what are variables? So variables are like containers, we can call them containers that we use to store our data types. So they are like containers where we store our data in them. So we have various type of variables. We have the integers. The integers are used to store whole numbers. We have the double and the float. This kind of data types, they are used to store fractions or even decimals. So with that said, according to this site that was last updated on the 17th of May last year, they are saying that we often need named storage location to store the data or values. Using variables, we can store the data in our program to access it afterwards. So as I had said, variables are like containers that we can use to store our data that we will use later on in our applications. So the general syntax for variables, we will start with the data type followed by the variable name. That is any name that you want to refer to your data type. For example, if it is for int numbers, you can say int numbers. If you want to build a simple calculators and you want to store the numbers, then followed by the value, and then it is always good to terminate our statements with a semicolon. So this is the basic syntax of variables. You can go back to this site or even note down somewhere on paper. It will help you each and every time you forget the syntax or you want to refer to anything in this site. So with that, I will not go deep into this site about what are variables, programming, declaration of variables, types of variables. So I will dive in the types of variables, but before that, let me show you some examples of how they are used variables in this site. So this one here, they are using C++. No, they are using C, using namespace std. So this is the C language where we have syntax data type variable underscore name. So we have the data type of int. They are storing age, in this case the double for prices and the characters for the grades. This is the C++, the same. So yeah, then we have types of variables. We have the global variables. These are variables that are declared outside of any function and are accessible throughout the entire code base. So they are declared outside of the main function, and they can also be used throughout the entire program. Yeah. So the next one, you have the local variables. So the local variables are declared within a specific functions. So I know some of you may not be very conversant with functions, but later on in this series we will have a look of what is function, where to use function, and what they are used for. But have in mind that the local variables are used inside functions. So for example, they have used this function that returns a void, is a void function, so that means it does not return anything. So they have the local variable 2 10, and then they are calling the function. So that is it, the output. So the other things I will not go in details about them. We have the local scope. So void my function, this is how they are using the local variables. They're using the variable inside a function. Yeah. The next thing we will have a look in this side before we go on to coding. We will look at the types of variables. No, we have looked about the type of variables, that is the global and the local variables. So the declaration of variables I will teach you through coding, and also the initialization, that will have a look using examples. Okay, so that is it for this site. So let's dive into the VS Code. So open your VS Code and open the file that we created last time. For mine, I created the main.dat file. So I will open my main.dat. Let me minimize this. So I am in my main.dat file, and the first thing we will have a look is data types. So data types are used to store various types of data. So as you know, in when we talk about data, we have various types of data. We can have numbers, strings, and also characters. So those are the main, I think those are the main types of data. So with that one here, we have the integers. So the integers are used to store whole numbers, that is like 1 up to almost 1 billion characters. So it's very huge. They are divided into long and short, but I will not go deep into long and short because that is for advanced coding. So the only time you will need to use either long is if you are dealing with values that are greater than 1 billion, and short, that is also values, bigger values, that in this whole series we will not deal with such humongous values, so we will just stick onto integers. So the double and the float, they are used to store decimals and fractions. So next we have the strings that are used to store strings. Strings are things like name of a person, you can store emails, you can store gender, with cases male or whatever. Then we have the character. Characters are used to store characters, so that is like, for example, A, B, C, all. Yeah, so it's just for storing characters. The other one we'll have a look is boolean. Booleans are used to store true or false values, so they return either true or false. So with that said, I will take you through the variable declaration. So to declare a variable, you simply write the data type and the variable name terminated by a semicolon. So that is as easy as that one. So you will simply write so for example, here we will have the integer of the variable name numbers. So you can simply write int numbers. So this means that we will be storing numbers in this variable of the type integer and the variable name numbers. So we have this yellow line. You should not worry about it. That is telling us that we have not used. So the value of the local variable numbers isn't used. So that's why we are seeing this warning. So declaring variables is simply like that one, and we can declare also the string, like string, then name of a person to store the name of a person. Then we can write the character, so write the character. Then we store the grade of a person. Is when you can say bool for boolean, say boolean, and then you can say minor, is either minor or a major. So that is it about the creating variables. So the next one we'll have a look is about initializing the variable. So initialization of variables is using the variables that we just declared. So there are two ways. The first one I will show you. You can simply use the variable numbers and initialize it like this one. And say numbers, then is equal sign, then you say like 20. So that is initialization. We have initialized these numbers to the value of 20. So and the next way to initialize variables, you can simply write as a whole the data type followed by the name, numbers, then is equals to 20. So this is also a way of initializing variables. So that is it. In my next video, we will write a program that I will show you how to use all of the knowledge we have learned in this tutorial in our code. So up to then, kindly consider subscribing to this channel if you have not subscribed, liking and commenting onto the video, and tell a friend to tell a friend. And that is all. Until then, see you in my next video. Love you all, and continue supporting this channel by liking and subscribing. Thank you.